Summer is heating up with Everplay Sports and Social League. Get in on the fun with Super Rec Kickball Tuesdays at M Avenue Ballpark, or join the classic Wednesday or Thursday night kickball at both M Avenue and B Avenue. Prefer volleyball? We've got indoor mix and match Sundays at Providence Park, Monday indoor at Tri-City, and sand volleyball Tuesdays and Thursdays at Pollywog. Swing into softball Sundays or Mondays at TS Martin, or go big with hardball Wednesdays at Seven Oaks Park. Like a strike of fun? Hit bowling Tuesdays at Bolero, or toss some bags with cornhole Wednesdays at Jay's Corner. Score goals with turf soccer Mondays at Recreation Athletics, and Wednesday soccer at B Avenue and Bray Park. And don't miss Pickleball Monday at Casey Pickleball Complex. Registration is open now through May 21st at everplaysocial.com. Also mark your calendars for the 10th Masters of Putt Putt, Friday, August 22nd. Registration by August 21st. Everplay, your league, your social life, your summer of fun. Visit everplaysocial.com for registration and details.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 255. I am Barrett Gruber, joined by Mr. Bill Fry, also returning champion to the pod, Mr. Matt Vilardebo. Welcome, fellas.
Thank you, Barrett. Good to see you, brother.
I was going to see who was going to talk over who. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. You can always count on me for that.
That is not a lie either. Always honest Matt. That's always Matt. Please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting theallaboutnothing.com and becoming an official member. Proudly calling yourself a true nothinger. We'll have more details on that at the end of the show. And if you can't do that, please give us a 5-star review. Drop us a like, follow us across all the social media, and you can find links at theallaboutnothing.com. I want to remind everybody to check out ZJZ Designs. Whether you're looking for a perfect graphic tee to show off your style or something unique to wear for any occasion, ZJZ Designs has you covered. From bold designs to creative prints, they offer a range of apparel that's all about making a statement. And if you like standing out in the crowd, check out their collection today at zjzdesigns.com. I'm not going to do it again. Trust me, you won't miss. Trust me.
Just get possessed by Joe Biden?
I don't know. It's entirely possible. Check out ZJZ Designs. It's where fashion meets fun, no matter the seasons. Man, I don't get it. You know what it is? Honestly, this week with work has been such a absolute shit show. We have the project that we're working on is just all over the place, and we're constantly finding things that we missed, and including things that I legitimately missed this week that were from like March. And they came back up, and I missed them, and it's my fault, and I take the blame for it. But I worked diligently to try and get those issues resolved today, and it's been absolute shit show. And of course, Matt knows last year during the campaign the number of times that I wasn't available to talk or return an email or whatever because of work. You know, it's just crazy. So before we jump into what we're here to discuss this week, Bill enlightened me. He's thinking about moving back or out of Columbia. The price of parking tickets is just getting too high.
That's what did it. I'm going to blame it on that and that alone. The
Aren't
only
they
reason.
cheap? Isn't it only like $9 or $12 for a parking ticket in Columbia?
$25 now.
Oh,
And
okay.
it depends on the infraction.
Yeah, I got a $50 ticket, and I waged war with Columbia because of it.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and it's still ongoing. And I do have an email to Mayor Rickman's office so that we can potentially get him to come on the show and talk about some of the parking issues and potentially how we're going to get that fixed. No,
I'd love
Bill's company, Fry Baby Sugar Shack.
My baby Sugar Shack
is still going to be making appearances in Columbia.
Yes.
I know that I have to work with Alex over at Everplay Sports and Social about the next kickball game, and maybe Sugar Baby's Sugar Shack will make an appearance.
I hope so.
We'll
I
see.
would love it.
We will see.
But I am moving out of Columbia most likely in the next few months, just to save money.
Yeah.
Basically, I'd love to move back to Columbia, but for now, it's literally just to save money. I am really thinking about traveling a lot, so
I don't blame you.
I'm gonna take. I need money for that, so
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I don't blame you. Matt Vilardebo is back on the show with us. I am stumbling through words. I don't understand. Matt Vilardebo is back with the podcast, and this is a non-candidate Matt Vilardebo that's joining us this time. Matt,
Citizen Vilardebo, if you were.
Citizen Vilardebo, less activist Vilardebo, but still posting on the absurdities that are going on in and around us. And he texted me earlier. Well, before we get into that, Matt, how is life? Are things more carefree? Are they easier?
Things are a bit more carefree. It's nice to be like unencumbered from like. I put myself on to a standard I think that wasn't fair for a long time, and so it's like more comfortable. Like if somebody pisses me off too much now, I can indeed tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, that's true.
And things like that. So, I mean, it just makes life a little easier being able to like dismiss frustrations instead of, having to like, hold people's hands and walk them through and see what you can do. But yeah, I mean, a little less stressful. Work's kept me busy as all get out. So that's nice. And, but like you said, I am watching these folks like a hawk in the sky. And the absurdities is a great way to describe what we're seeing.
South Carolina State Legislature session is over for the year. That is completed. I think I saw out of some 1,800 bills that were attempted or something like that, astronomical number. None of them benefited anyone in the state of South Carolina as far as citizens go. So constant disappointment from the Republican-led legislature in the House and in the Senate. There were attempts to move the abortion down to 0 day. I don't think that passed, but
no, just the 6 week.
Yeah, we're still 6 weeks in South Carolina. One of the things, and I'm glad that Matt was able to join us on short notice tonight, was because he sent me a text message of a reaction, and I won't say who the reaction is of just yet. We will discuss it, but there was a execution here in South Carolina back in April the 11th. I'm gonna butcher this name. But South Carolina recently carried out an execution by firing squad, the second in the state's history, when McCall Mahadi, a 42-year-old death row inmate, was executed at Broad River Correctional Institute. Mahadi was convicted for a violent crime in 2004, a crime spree that included the murder of an off-duty police officer, Captain James Myers of Calhoun County. And Mahadi shot Myers multiple times, doused his body in diesel fuel, set him on fire. Days earlier, he also murdered a convenience store clerk in North Carolina. He was arrested in Florida after a multi-state manhunt and extradited back to South Carolina, where he was sentenced to death in 2006. I'm not going to say this isn't a bad guy. I absolutely. I'm not going to say this is somebody that was deserving of some special judgment. I don't know this individual except from the information that I pulled off of the internet from news stories and things like that about the crimes that he committed, and then the actual court jury and everything. So definitely a bad guy. I will not be someone that's like, oh, we should have given him a break or whatever. But he chose his own execution style. I think the choices are either lethal injection, electric chair, or firing squad. So he chose firing squad. He expressed concerns about potential for prolonged suffering from the other methods. However, it has been deemed after an autopsy that his execution went badly. The autopsy commissioned by his legal team revealed only 2 bullets struck his chest, both of them missing his heart, causing him to bleed out over a period of about 30 to 60 seconds. Witnesses observed Mahadi groaning and breathing for over a minute after the shots were fired. So the execution has prompted calls for an independent investigation. Lawmakers, including Democrat Justin Bamberg and Republican Neil Collins, have requested a temporary suspension of the firing squad execution method until investigations have concluded. Their concerns focus on inconsistencies in the autopsy, such as the presence of only 2 distinct wounds and insufficient examination of Mahadi's clothing. Mahdi's execution was the 5th in South Carolina in under 8 months and the 12th nationwide in 2025, highlighting a resurgence of capital punishment in the United States. So, all of that said, I get a text message with what is the reaction of one of our local state representatives, Mr. Brandon Guffey, who has been discussed on this podcast before as being an unforgiving and potentially hateful individual. Purely, if you can go check out his social media. I mean, he absolutely posts, everything is available publicly to go look at. And it'll also give him a real kick to know that people are looking at it, because this is a narcissist of a level 34, I think.
He's like, he'll like, if he finds out you posted about him and didn't tag him, that's his lead in with his frustration with you. He's like, it'd be nice if you tagged me so I could answer this. It's like, really? That's your problem, bro? You want to like move your thing up the list?
That is some serious narcissism, like sociopathic. So he posted this earlier today. He said, before you start, this is Brandon Guffey, again, representative of in the state house from the Rock Hill area. He says, quote, before you start emailing me complaining about the man who chose firing squad as his form of execution, you might want to ask the families of the ones he murdered if they cared that he suffered during execution. Me personally, nah, bro. Not quite certain why. As someone that has lost a child, do you think I care about the suffering of a criminal? My request would be to allow the loved ones to fire the shots. He had a choice, which is more than he deserved, in my opinion. Yeah.
And then the comments that follow that post are really awful too. I mean, it only got worse from there.
He's and one of the things that I'll just say, he touted himself as being, a Christianity, of course, based off of Jesus Christ, which I have so many issues with these evangelical Christians, or these Christians that get to choose back and forth which versions of the Bible they want to follow. So obviously Brandon Guffey has this idea that if you commit a crime, or if you commit a murder, or you commit a crime, then those things should be equally committed on you, which is Old Testament. So I pulled up specifically the Old Testament chapters and verses. So Exodus 21:24 is eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for a hand, foot for a foot. Leviticus 24:20, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Just as he has injured a man, so it shall be inflicted on him. And then Deuteronomy 19:21, show no pity, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So I know you guys have had a decent amount of theology in your lives off your experience. In your opinion, what does the New Testament say? The one that scores the life of Jesus Christ. What does the New Testament say about this?
New Testament has a decidedly different view of it. I mean, because like Jesus shows up and Jesus is love. Jesus suffered on the cross to forgive us for our sins that we're born with, y'all. Right. So anyway, I digress.
Bill?
Yeah, no, Jesus says to turn the other cheek. And I mean, even with all that, I mean, the way we treat our criminals, like, yeah, some of these criminals, like, if anybody, like, if something happened to you, you'd want to do something to them beyond harm. But that's kind of the reason we have the entire judicial system, is so that you won't just kill someone in retaliation, but instead collectively as society judge someone based on their actions and hopefully rehabilitate them into society. Now, some things like this, I don't know if you can. You would need to do, they would need some other thing, but I'm personally against the death penalty for those reasons. Same. I mean, yeah, I'd love to, if someone did something terrible to my mom or my brother or my dad or something like that, I would, in my heart, want to do them harm. But I think we have ways to handle this as a society. But
yeah, No, I don't disagree. And detention centers and jails and prisons and things like that, currently they are not the rehabilitation centers that they were 50, 60, 70 years ago. They are
A big business.
yeah, I was going to say that in my opinion, they're basically modern day slavery, because if you are someone that goes into the prison system, the prisons themselves, we have no federally operated prisons in the United States anymore. They are all corporately owned and operated, and they receive tax money to operate those facilities. But then they also turn around and use those prisoners that again, they're criminals. They've been found guilty of a crime that has put them there, but they also use those criminals to do things like textiles and installations, and they're being used for road construction. They're underbidding. Like, there are corporations that are using prisoners for road construction that are underbidding contractors for companies that have legitimately unpersecuted individuals that could have these jobs, but yet this is what we're doing. And not focusing on the rehabilitation. We're just focusing on using these prisoners. And a majority of the majority of the individuals per capita that are convicted and imprisoned in the United States are for minor drug offenses. Like, we don't have prisons full of serial killers and murderers. We have prisons full of people that carried more than 2 ounces of marijuana on them. This is what we're doing. And carrying marijuana, to me, is not a crime deserving of prison. It's just insanity to me.
Yeah, I mean, Henry McMaster admitted to smoking marijuana before. I mean,
yeah, with George Washington, right? I mean,
yeah, and I mean, so for me, it's, we know, like, anybody who's like sat through high school juvenile delinquency or criminology, right, knows, right, the death penalty is not a deterrent. It's more expensive to put somebody on death row than to lock them away for life. And all these other statistics, like known facts, things we know are real. And I just thought that was like such a weird stance to take for one of our elected officials. I mean, he's also the director of communications for the Republican House Caucus.
Right.
So, I mean,
which is crazy because he speaks like a 14-year-old edgelord.
Yeah.
They like him within his party. So, I don't know. I just don't feel like that's a good sentiment. And I thought he would actually pull it but when I saw the comments, I was like, well, there's no reason for him to pull this. I mean, they're ready to throw him a parade for saying this.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll just say that, because I went out and looked and read some of the comments, and I am disgusted by some of your neighbors, Matt. I'm floored. I'm floored at how they can show such a, again,
disregard.
Yeah.
For human life. And that's like my thing. This is about, we'll probably dig more into these other 2 names I'm about to drop later, but there's a reason we're America and we're the best, right? It's because we're not like Saudi and Qatar. We're not lopping off heads in stadiums. We're not, locking you up, for weird, religious crimes and moral turpitude crimes. We're better than them, right? We're always us versus them. This country's better than them. And that sort of rhetoric and mentality and, the influence he has over people, it's a dangerous game to spew stuff like that. It's disappointing.
Totally agree.
Because, I mean, for the most part, I mean, there's been times him and I have had some pretty heated whatever between us, but for the most part, he knows he can count on me to be proper in public. I always greet him with a handshake and how you doing? And, I do hate what this guy went through, but I mean, he doesn't get carte blanche to do and say what he wants because he had to endure one of the worst tragedies a parent could endure. I mean, there's like a line where somebody has to go,
Yeah. And
pump the brakes, buddy. I mean, back it off a little.
And not to go into it, but Brandon Guffey did lose his son to a suicide. And that is absolutely one of the tragedies that being a parent is absolutely one of my greatest fears. Is the idea that either I didn't see something in my own child, or the idea that they didn't feel like they could talk to me or come to me for support in some way, or that I've given them some sort of vibe that I don't want to help them with their problems, and the only way out for them is to take their own life. So ultimately, what Brandon Guffey went through with his son, I absolutely feel awful about, and no parent should have to go through that. And I hope no parent does go through it. I know there will be. I mean, we have a country right now that is so focused on finding the imperfections with children, and not not taking those imperfections and saying this is what makes them different and beautiful, versus, this is an imperfection that ultimately we need to draw attention to. And there's
Giving
some sort
them
of this
unfettered
idea.
access to social media has been a tremendous missive as a society.
I
My
agree.
kids never had it, but I see that, and man, I think parents need to exercise. We talk about parental rights in schools. Parents need to exercise some more rights over their kids, and
Yeah,
restrict their screen time, and it's just too much out there, and they don't have the critical thinking skills yet to discern truth from fiction. They get caught up in extortion scams. I mean, we need to. It's a predator's playground on the internet. We know
absolutely.
that. So.
Absolutely.
And also, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I do know it should be clear to your children
I
that
thought Bill, I totally thought you were going to say, I'm not a parent, but I play one on TV.
Well, I mean, it seems like just such an important conversation to have with your kids, to make sure that if they come across something, which I don't know this whole situation, but I do know the specific detail of, if they come across something, or if something makes them question, or they don't know fact from fiction, that you yourself have to be an individual to make them know that if there's something wrong, to come to you, to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
To
Always make your kids recognize that you are a safe space, and that they can tell you anything that they need to. That there is no situation that is there is no situation that they can't come to you with. Ultimately is the biggest thing. Also, just in contrast to the Mosaic laws from the Old Testament, it's Matthew 5 verse 38-39, that the quote is, you have heard that it was said, eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. So, that's the turn the other cheek. And so one of the things that bugs me so much is how Christianity, of course, being built mostly off of the teachings of Jesus Christ, how selective evangelicals, Republicans, GOP, MAGA, whatever, that they can jump over to the Old Testament and be like, that this is what we should live by, except in the situation where Jesus said something else. But because if the Republican Party were the Christian church, or the Christian embodiment of what Jesus Christ taught, it would be the Democratic Party, as far as I'm concerned. Because Democrats, while I know that they flounder and they fail in a lot of their approach and messaging in how they recognize the working class, and how, that's not to say all of them, but from nationally, they have really faltered in the last 20 years on trying to show that they are the party of the poor and of the middle class and the workers, and the labor unions and things like that. They have really lost sense of that, especially when we have leadership that is in the Senate and in Congress, or the House, that are making millions and millions of dollars. We can go and look at the records of the Nancy Pelosi's that have made millions and millions of dollars during their time as a representative from California, on everything from well-informed stock trades. I'm not saying that she has committed any or broken any laws, but do your own research on that.
I do my own research, Barrett. I feel like I should snort a line of ivermectin as I say that.
Oh gosh. That is the second time this week ivermectin has been brought up, and that
I remember
always,
hearing that so much during COVID. I do my own research, bro. All right,
yeah.
cool. Because I remember you barely got through high school, so I know the quality of research you're probably putting into this is top-notch stuff.
Yeah. Facebook really sets me straight on the whole ivermectin thing. That's a lot of people's research, apparently. So, but yeah, I go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I do feel like I don't know. I do see what you mean about the Democratic Party being more. I would give them credit to being more tolerant, but both parties in my view are they claim to be on that side. But I think if a critical thinking evangelical Christian looked at what the two parties were doing, they would realize they're both just trying to take advantage of people. But that's just my view.
No, you're absolutely correct, and it's frightening that neither party seems to be able to recognize what they're doing wrong or the hypocrisy that they're suffering from.
Like Democrats, I feel like if you're gonna be for solving poverty issues, if you're gonna be for solving social issues alongside economic issues, you have to kind of drive it. It just feels like they're not blatant about it like they should, and I feel like Republicans are blatant in the way that they talk about Old Testament Christianity, which I feel like is the reason why they've won the Christian right, is because Democrats don't do that. If you understand what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I can tell you. So from an observation I had is this year, after earlier on in the year for a few months, I was on a project where I was going to Duke Energy operations centers around the Carolinas, north and south. And all of these have like IBEW unions on site, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, one of the biggest unions in the country, short of the Teamsters. So, but you go through the parking lot and all you see are Trump stickers on trucks, and so that disconnect, we got to fix that. And I remember talking to that with friends of mine who are like union leaders in South Carolina. I said that we got to fix that, because we got working class folks that think that just because Donald Trump acts like an asshole, he's going to go fight for them to get more money in their paycheck and protect their union standing. This guy wants to do away with unions. He's consistently shown us, if you look at every issue he's nipping at, there's some historical reference for why he's picking on them, whether it be Panama with this failed Trump Tower thing in Panama, or whether it be, he sees real estate dollars in Gaza. There's something, he still hates John Bon Jovi because of the Buffalo Bills, right?
Yeah.
So I can't wait for him to come after John Bon Jovi with legislation. All my Gen X moms are going to be super pissed.
Well, and this week, Bruce Springsteen, in the opening of his first night on tour in Europe, Bruce Springsteen came out, and I don't have the whole script, but basically came out and said that he's appalled. I'm paraphrasing, that he's so disappointed in what his country, the country that he's loved, the country he sang about and wrote songs about for more than 250 years has made such a change because of the administration. One of the things I was going to bring up tonight was the Supreme Court is hearing arguments on this birthright citizenship. And ultimately, I don't understand why it is that Donald Trump and I understand what the end goal is, I think, but I don't understand the passion behind ending birthright citizenship. So just out of curiosity, you guys know how many countries have a unconditional birthright citizenship? Just curiosity.
Probably
Actually,
one.
21. The
Oh.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina. You thought I was going to start singing Animaniacs, didn't you?
Yeah.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Uruguay, Panama, Paraguay.
Pretty much all of South America and Central America.
Ecuador, Bolivia, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala. Well, because they mirrored after us.
Yeah.
Guatemala, Nicaragua, Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago. So there are also countries that have conditional birthright citizenship. So in France, children born in France to non-citizen parents can acquire citizenship at the age of 18 if they lived there most of their lives. In Germany, you can be granted citizenship if you were born in Germany and at least one of your parents has legal residency for a set period. Australia, a child born in Australia becomes a citizen only if at least one parent is a citizen or permanent resident. And in the United Kingdom, no longer has full birthright citizenship. A child must have at least one British or settled parent. And then India, Ireland, New Zealand, and Malta have all abandoned any sort of unconditional birthright citizenship, conditional or unconditional. So you have to apply for immigration status, and then you have to become a citizen. If you have to make
that's
that
just
choice.
a thing that makes America great and a melting pot. That's just who we are. We were
Right.
founded on immigration. That's the whole point, though. I don't know what he's trying to. I was reading a lot of text earlier, and it's infuriating.
The
to
good
see
news, the good news is that it does seem as though the Supreme Court does seem to be pushing back on this, and in retaliation of what it sounds like, because I think Amy Coney Barrett came at it pretty hard. But Trump's basically Trump in a Truth Social posted, and this is a quote: "Birthright citizenship was not meant for people taking vacations to become permanent citizens of the United States of America and bringing their families with them all of the time, laughing at the suckers that we are." He said, "The United States of America is the only country in the world that does this. For what reason, nobody knows, but the drug cartels love it. We are, for the sake of being politically correct, a stupid country, but in actuality, this is the exact opposite of being politically correct and is yet another point that leads to the dysfunction of America. As conclusive proof, the Civil War ended in 1865. The bill went to Congress less than a year later in 1866 and was passed shortly after that." I'm dumbfounded by his ignorance of history. Like, he says all of these things, and I have seen posts on Facebook of acquaintances that are basically jumping on the same bandwagon and are like, yeah, birthright citizenship absolutely should not be something that's available just for somebody because they're born here within the boundaries of the United States. I mean, I don't understand, because I know several of them were born here when their parents came to the United States. Therefore, their citizenship could be in question because they were born of people not born inside the borders of the United States. And I don't understand how they disconnect themselves from reality so much that they would be willing to throw out their own citizenship purely out of hate. I guess it's hate, or just disgust over that there's somebody at the supermarket that might not be speaking English within earshot of them.
Yeah, Trump's a germaphobe, that is scared of those dirty brown and black people.
It's so weird.
And he has left us with like a plethora, a bounty of like things to cover in the news. Reporters are staying busy with Trump in office.
Yeah. Amy Coney Barrett stepped in during the White House's or Donald Trump's, giving evidence to the Supreme Court. She said to his lawyer, said, Sauer, he said, "Sir, are you really going to answer Justice Kagan by saying there's no way to do this expeditiously as far as," let me just read it because that's out of context. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett ripped into President Donald Trump's Solicitor General on Thursday in disrespecting one of the higher court's liberal justices. Now, this was during the arguments over the birthright citizenship. So I don't know where Amy Coney Barrett is going to fall on this. I don't know where the other justices are, but this, I think, as far as constitutionally, it's written the way it is, and I don't know that there's much ability to divert from what the Constitution says. I'll pull that up real quick. But what is it? What amendment is it? It's the 14th Amendment or the 16th Amendment? No, I can't. You know what? It's not. That's my own failings. I should know that better.
Show prep, Gruber.
It's I'm pretty sure it's the 14th.
But basically, that's where, that is where birthright citizenship basically comes in, because ultimately, and then we fall into the whole part of this idea of habeas corpus and due process being available to people born. So that's one of the things that I have a hard time wrapping my head around.
They're floating out there suspending habeas corpus.
Yeah.
Because they feel like it's like we're under attack by the border crisis.
Yeah. And ultimately border crossings are down like exponentially. They are down a lot. And then I think I just read today that it sounds like is Donald Trump going to be welcoming a cartel member or a former leader of a cartel into
He got a whole family of cartel members over the border. I mean,
and then
I thought you were talking.
And real quick, I want to share while we're talking about the border. I want to share with you something really cool. So I know a reporter who's going to be going to cover the border for a few weeks here at the end of May, and I want to bring him on camera real quick and introduce the world to. This is my son, Clark. Say hi, Clark.
Hi.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Clark, Journalist of the Year for South Carolina, and he's been selected to go on a trip down to the border to check out what's going on.
How is so? Just purely out of curiosity, Clark, what is it you're feeling as far as making that trip? Like, is there anxiety? Are you what's going on in your head?
I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of anxiety when it comes to a trip like that, but for the most part, I'm feeling really confident. I'm going with a group of missionaries who've been doing it for a while now, and it's a Presbyterian church, so they're very progressive.
Okay.
And the purpose of the mission is for immigration and border purposes to learn from the communities in Mexico. One of the big things we'll be doing is planting a cross at the spot where a guy died trying to migrate last year. Stuff like that.
That's really exciting. That's exciting.
I'm going
definitely
with a group of missionaries. The whole purpose is to cover the border.
He's embedded.
Yeah. He's gonna be where on the border? Did you know exactly where it is that you're going to be going?
Yeah, it's Agua Prieta. It's literally a hop skip over the border from Douglas, Arizona.
Okay. I
mean, textbook definition of a border town.
Yeah. I am absolutely of the opinion that a country should have the right to defend its borders. Illegal immigration does not do any favors for the United States, and you'll never hear me say anything to the contrary of that. I absolutely believe that if you want to come to the United States, that there should be availability for proper ways to enter the United States. I don't even have an issue with having a border wall. I don't have an issue in areas where you want to dissuade people from potentially harming themselves from trying to make crossings in places where you could, because it's not just, the worst of Mexico and South American and Central American countries. It's families of women and children and grandparents and things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would prefer to dissuade them from crossing just anywhere and but you have to have immigration policies in place, and you have to have court judges that will move through the process. One of the reasons that we have so many people trying to make the crossings on their own is because we don't have a streamlined system available for people to be able to become to gain access to the United States.
And that's a bipartisan failure. That's everybody's fault.
Exactly. The Republicans have now been in control for almost 4 months, 5 months, and still I've not even heard a single mention of how they're going to improve the asylum process, how they're going to improve the immigration process. I haven't heard anything about potentially bringing on new judges that could go through the backlog of cases of people trying to at least gain access to the United States by getting visas. It's just absurd to me that this is the process. And ultimately, I think that Donald Trump's administration just wants to cut off the border completely, except to the people. And I say exception, there are exceptions, because this week we brought over white refugees from South Africa that were being persecuted and their land stolen in South Africa.
It's too good.
I'm dumbfounded.
I'm gonna, if Clark, if you want to go, you can. Say goodbye to everybody.
Thanks, Clark. Hey, we'll
Nice
check
to
in
meet you,
on you
Clark.
if you want to. We'll arrange it so we can check in on you while you're down there.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I actually just got rehired. It was a formality thing, really, but I still had to go through the process. I'm back as editor-in-chief for Winthrop's newspaper.
Oh, congratulations.
Access to the socials. Now I have access. I have had access, but I'm trying to be a good person and stay away from it because I'm not technically hired yet. But now that I am, so I'm going to start posting about the trip either tomorrow or Monday.
Excellent.
So keep an eye out for the Johnsonian Facebook and Instagram. So
we will look for that as well. Thank you, Clark. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Clark.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, the politician's son is a journalist. Who figured?
Well, that just means you're not safe. Yeah. There's nothing. There's nothing that you can't get away with anymore.
So yeah, I thought I think I'm just like over the moon proud of him for all he's accomplished and as a journalist, and what he's done with the Johnsonian is like nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah, no, that's
sitting
exciting.
Through listening to other people like describe what great things your child has done. I couldn't stop crying. I was just like so caught up in that.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. I assume the wife is excited. Also, if we haven't brought it up before, which I think we have, your daughter is in the Navy. How is that going?
It's going good. It's going good. She loves it. We're very limited in what we can talk about anymore.
Sure. I get that.
So we can talk about her being in the Navy, and she loves it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's.
Excuse me. She was just in town last week. We got to go out and have a Mother's Day dinner with the four of us before she went back.
Very lovely.
And she's relatively close to us now, so she can make she can come for a couple days if she gets any liberty. So she loves it where she's at. She's, like I said, she's closer to us now, and she's in a part of the country she really likes. So
that's awesome. One of the reasons that Matt is here also is because, of course, the president is on a Middle Eastern trip through some of the countries that are our allies. We are technically allies with them.
We are.
We do have treaties that make us allies. Saudi Arabia is one of the places, Matt, that you have been to many times with some of in your job experience. So I have not been to Saudi Arabia. I have been to the United Arab Emirate. I have flown the UAE. I have flown into the UAE once on a layover to India, which was lovely. I was treated like a king. My group and I were picked up in what can only be described as the most lavish Lamborghini taxi I have ever seen in my entire life.
You don't get that in Saudi.
No. That was in Dubai.
That's Dubai. Yeah.
That was Dubai. It was fascinating. Also learned that my 6'1" frame in those years in 2009, I am not the right size for a Lamborghini. It's not a comfortable ride. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is, have you ever had the coffee ceremony that occurred for Donald Trump, who did not drink coffee, and he's notoriously known as somebody that doesn't drink coffee?
So I have sat through multiple coffee ceremonies. So one of my favorite stories to tell is when I had to go to the hospital in Saudi. And keep in mind, I was in a very remote part of Saudi. I was in like redneck Saudi Arabia. I wasn't in like Riyadh or Jeddah or some big opulent city. I was in Tarif. So I had to go to the hospital, get my blood type confirmed. And while I was there, one of the guys who was like an administrator, Western educated, opens the door, and he's just like in these gorgeous white flowing robes. And, I'm easy to recognize. Not only am I an American, but I'm a very redheaded, blue-eyed American. I don't look like the rest of y'all. So he calls me over, Ameriki, and he invites me in his office, and we have coffee and dates. That coffee is called Gawa, and it is green, unroasted coffee beans that they make that coffee with. It is fucking gross. And I love coffee. I love coffee. I cannot function without coffee on the daily. And I had to, I always say I have to power stuff down like a python if I don't like it. I have an ability to just kind of give a swallow on things that are unappetizing. And I was just taking big slugs of that coffee. I couldn't put enough honey in it, and it was still bitter. So, yeah, and I've been through more formal, like I was over there for multiple Eids and multiple Ramadans. So I was there for a lot of iftars, which is that meal where after your fast that you have.
Yeah.
So, they're very ceremonial over there. And Trump loves ceremony and pomp and circumstance. If you remember back in Trump 1.0, he went over there and they did the fucking sword dance for him. And
the glowing... The glowing orb too.
I was just about to say the orb.
Pins. Yeah, he played with the orb, but they did the sword dance, and I've seen the sword dance. I remember we had the king came to visit our plant one time, and they made like a big do of it. So, but yeah, that country is full of Trumps. I always try to explain that to people as a reference. I'm like, imagine a whole country full of Donald Trumps. I mean, these like really like over the top entitled, it's a theocratic monarchy. I mean, freedom's not really something they know about over there. There's no real poverty. Everybody's getting oil money. They just get certain levels of it. I mean, they got thousands of princes in that country.
Yeah.
So, it's an entitlement country, they don't do any of their own anything. I mean, the least thing I would be scared of is the Saudi Arabian army or military coming in.
So that's something I didn't really know. So in Saudi Arabia, there really isn't poverty?
Nah, I never saw like homeless. The Bedouins live out in the desert, but they're not homeless. They're Bedouins. That's what Bedouins do. Bedouins are going to Bedouin.
I know that just from experience from some of the people that I work with, that they have or they know of people that have gone to work on some of the construction and whatnot that goes on in Saudi Arabia, because they're constantly building up. They're building into the Persian Gulf. I'm sorry, is it still the Persian Gulf? We haven't changed that yet.
So there's the Arabian. So there's always been the Arabian Gulf or the Gulf of Arabia. He's like trying to start a culture war between the Persians and the Arabs,
right?
Because don't call an Arab a Persian and a Persian an Arab. You're going to catch mighty. Those are two totally different cultures. They really speak two different languages.
Yeah.
He did that with ill intent.
Well, for sure. Well, everything he does is for ill intent.
But that was pretty. I saw that and I was like, what is he doing? That's a way to inflame things over there. It seems little to us, but over there, that is freaking huge.
One of the things that from coworkers that I've had over the years, one of the things that they've always acknowledged was that if they will hire for construction, people from outside of Saudi Arabia,
Indians and Filipinos and Chinese, North Koreans. You'll see actual North Koreans over there.
But once you get there, the availability to get out becomes very cloudy. And so there is a class of people there that are not Saudi Arabians. So I guess they wouldn't fit that as far as potentially being in poverty. But But there are sections of close to where construction sites are going on that these individuals, they'll come to work there, but then they can't leave because their visas get mismanaged
Or they will hold you in country. Like if you're on a labor contract with them and you're like, man, I can't do this anymore, I'm headed back to Bangladesh. They will hold you, and incarcerate you possibly until that contract is fulfilled one way or the other.
Yeah.
And when I say there's no poverty, I mean there's no Saudi poverty.
Right. That's what I was getting.
The labor class, I mean, it's a sharp divide from the ruling to the labor class there. And there's a hierarchy. It's like, the Saudis, other Muslim cultures that aren't, I can give you a list of countries that they look down on, but I don't know if I want to go there. But there are, so you're talking like your Jordanians, your Kuwaitis, your Qataris, your Emiratis. So Saudis, other Muslims, Americans, other Westerners, Saudi women.
Yeah.
And then like all the others are way down there. I mean, you can move to some position of prestige as an Indian over there. But some of these other countries, I mean, most of their child care labor force in Saudi is Filipino women. A lot of kids from the Middle East were raised by Filipina nannies.
Yeah.
So, and they have like, I remember, so where I worked, it was new. So they built the plant and brought in everybody and put us in like, little FEMA trailers and camps. And it was nice for me. I mean, I had my own trailer, but they were building like a whole industrial city there. And as that was going up, we would go look because everything's tiered there. There's hard, rigorous tiers. So we went and looked at some of the houses that some of us would actually qualify for. And man, these houses were just so nice, but they had a living quarters for house staff or servants, nanny, whatever. And it was literally, it was like something you would see in like a museum of slavery from the, it was like a closet where you could squeeze in a single bed and, maybe a little plastic, dresser.
So not poverty, but definitely a lower class. And
they wouldn't like let the Indians or anybody else like one of those. They wouldn't just like let them set up a tent city. I mean, they'll house them to the least of their obligation, but again, they do it. It's just different over there. Again, the whole like religious monarchy thing is, there's not freedom there, and you have to be careful about what you say and do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially me, I remember we had a gay guy on our staff, and I mean, a lot of us were legit worried for him, but he spoke Arabic, so they seemed to like leave him alone. So
as something to be said,
is illegal over there.
But being gay and speaking Arabic as a Westerner, I guess that gives you a little leeway.
He was Lebanese or something. He was raised in Lebanon as a child and moved to America, expatriated to America, and was Western raised. I mean, he had no hint of an accent, but he was fluent in Arabic.
Man,
I mean, it was always cool to me when you would hear that. I mean, I think I'm cool because I can say 25 Arabic words, but I probably can't string together a sentence in Arabic if you paid me to.
The things we're proud of.
Hey, it helps, man. They love it when you hit them with a salam alaikum or a sabah al khair in the morning.
Yeah.
And they love that stuff coming from a white person because it's respectful. I mean, I'm a guest in their country. They're paying me ungodly amounts of money to be there. So I'm going to be dutiful and a good steward of what I've obliged myself to.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that just goes along with your character anyway, because you're not going to disrespect someone just because they're showing you an utmost amount of respect. They're not putting you on a pedestal. You're just going to be you. Like I think most of us would be. I think if most of us were in that situation, we would be respectful to the country and the people that we're working with. And
But I digress. I mean, let's bring this back to what a piece of garbage Trump is.
Okay.
So, like, anything that comes from that country it has blood on its hands. Absolutely. And, I want to be clear. I may have gone over there and worked and profited off of my time over there. But anybody that worked for me over there can tell you I was not, the Saudis are the best. I was worried as a progressive Democrat who espouses, pro-LGBTQ2 stuff. It's nerve-wracking in a way. So, but him being over there, a lot of this is an ego rub. The Saudis are trying their damnedest without having to actually change their form of government to like make themselves a legitimate world player, kind of starting, MBS, who is really running the country now. I don't think they've announced the king's death, even though I think he's been dead for years now. But MBS is running the show over there, and he's good. He's best friends with the king of the UAEs. So he's trying to like turn Saudi into something that's like more marketable. You can actually you can get travel visas to Saudi now. You used not to be able to do that unless you were there on like a Hajj. Otherwise, you couldn't get in country without having a work visa. And they're building like entertainment districts, but they're not changing. Like you still can't drink in that country. How are you going to have casinos and entertainment districts and not be able to enjoy a cocktail? I mean,
are they concerned about losing money in these casinos? Because the whole reason you can drink in casinos here is because you're going to lose more money.
They have partially constructed a city in the desert that they wanted to be run by AI and robots, and that thing sits there like a relic on a movie set.
Wow.
They don't mind. They got crazy money over there, Barrett. I mean, the oil, they have a lot of rare earth metals over there. They have a lot of stuff that we need to like make electronics and batteries, not lithium directly, but other things. And so that country is, and we've only discovered a portion of what's under the ground there. I mean, that's a massive chunk of land over in Saudi Arabia, and it's 80% desert. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things I wanted to discuss tonight before we wrap up was I'm going to force you guys to talk about Donald Trump's new $400 million plane as a gift from the country of Qatar.
I mean, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
I mean, just plain and simple. But he's gotten away with many unconstitutional things.
He is continuing, though, to push the line on unconstitutional situations. The basically what Bill is talking about is the foreign emoluments clause, which is Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7 or 8. You know what? I have it pulled up. So it says no title.
Take those sort of gifts from foreign,
right? So no title of nobility shall be granted to the United States, and no person holding an office of profit or trust under them shall, without consent of Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state. So basically, Donald Trump can't accept a knighthood from the UK. You can't accept a gift without any of this. Congress has to vote on it and sign off themselves, both Senate and House, to do. He'll never get the votes in either of the houses in order to accept this gift. But the thing I'm the most disturbed by is the fact that, yes, it might be a $400 million gift, but estimates are already coming out from the Air Force and the Department of Defense as to how much it's actually going to cost for them to be able to convert this plane. Yeah. It's $1 billion, and they're going to have to tear it down completely and rebuild it.
They are currently building a new Air Force One.
2 of them. They're building 2 of them.
He wants, and that's the first thing. I mean, having worked in the government for as long as I have, I mean, the first thing I said when I heard that, I was like, man, they're going to have to like literally strip all the wiring out of that plane.
Everything. And
put hardened, shielded, jacketed stuff in there. They're going to have to protect it against electromagnetic pulses. That is a luxury jet he got. He needs like a floating fortress. And
this 747 is going to have to be fitted with missile defense systems, because Air Force One has its own missile defense system. It has its own radar system, flares. I mean, the whole thing is going to have to be defended, and like the cost of that. But then we're going to spend $1 billion as taxpayers in the United States. And then when Donald Trump does leave office, which, by the way, we should be excited about this, because Donald Trump does recognize he is going to leave office at some point, but he's just going to, this plane is just going to be his, it's just going to become his plane that will sit at his library. Also, shocked to find out that Donald Trump is planning on having a library. That one was just
Hopefully he'll fill it with all the books Moms for Liberty has banned.
yeah, exactly. Well, or he'll fill it with all of the books that they haven't banned.
They'll lock
That's
them away though. They'll be like, see these books? No.
in my
They'll just
head.
paint everything in gold. I don't know what would really be
Yeah,
in
I
there.
mean,
Maybe some.
this would be the
Where
general
would you-
public's chance
documents
to
he's
go
gonna
shit
keep
on a
this
gold
summer.
toilet.
Where would you even put the Donald Trump library? Because you couldn't
He's
open
going to want
it
it
in
in
New York.
City or up in
Trump
Bedford,
Tower.
where he's got that golf course in New York.
I'm dumbfounded. I don't understand. Like there was no, I don't remember any discussion after Trump's first term of a potential library. But now, and I know Reagan has part of an Air Force One, like the part of the Air Force One from before the 2 jets we have now. But like, I think Reagan has part of Air Force One at his library. Like, I don't think it's the whole thing. If it is the whole thing, kudos. But
You need an airplane hangar to put that thing in, though. It's just not easy to wheel it into a museum.
Yeah, but the fact that we're going to spend $1 billion refurbishing and setting this brand new or this 10-year-old plane. So I mean, we're even trading out the fact that Boeing is in the process of building. Are they building it slow? Yeah, but how long did it take for the last 2 747s to be converted into Air Force One and Air Force Two or whatever?
So Ralph Norman is flexing that Boeing signed a contract with Qatar for to make new airplanes for them. Boeing has I want to say a 10-year backlog of orders. It's more. I would say it's quite likely Qatar is never going to see those planes.
Yeah. Well, and one of the first things that Trump did when he took office in 2020 or 2017 was that he ordered 2 new 747 Air Force Ones. Like, that was the thing he did. They told him up front, this is a 10-year process. First of all, even if they put him to the front of the list, those planes are outfitted in a specific way that means they can't be delivered immediately. So like 2027, 2028 was always the delivery date on these things. And anyone that comes out in the news and says that, no, that's bullshit, that they should have gotten them to him, that's ridiculous. It's just absurd. I'm dumbfounded by this whole thing.
It's just even crazier because I mean, just in my view at this point, one of the number one things America should be targeting is poverty. Like, that's just, and it's so fixable. It is mind-blowingly fixable looking at the numbers of what it would take to actually pull every American out of deep poverty and poverty at the bottom level. And then you're going to sit and say, well, I got to take this jet because it's a gift from Cater. And then you're going to go to make $5 trillion tax cuts for the billionaires and then try to cut Medicare by $180 billion and require community service for those and say those people are lazy that are getting Medicare.
Bill,
Medicaid.
we just caught one person committing Medicare fraud in South Carolina. This is clearly an epidemic of Medicaid fraud that we need to shut down. Take the money away.
That's the thing. I don't care if somebody's lazy. I'm not scared that 4 or 5 lazy people. I know lazy people. Sure, go. Hey, I'm just saying, if you're lazy, I don't care. If 4 or 5 lazy people in America are going to get social benefits that every American should be guaranteed if they make below a certain salary or net income, I don't care. I just simply don't.
So you want to hear something else that's crazy about Medicare? So I worked in Medicare for 14 years. I worked everything from provider services to support to software for Medicare. And the administrators of Medicare have to be the lowest bidder. And generally, the administration of Medicare runs anywhere between like 1% or less or up to maybe 2.5%, maybe 3%. So the companies that run Medicare, that are administrating Medicare, are our insurance companies that are for-profit insurance companies. So they're the ones, because they have such a robust history of processing claims and paying doctors and taking care of the patients and things like that, they're the ones that bid on these contracts and wind up becoming the administrators. So let's say that all of the administrators, let's say that the part of the cost of administering that Medicare makes up about 3% usually when it comes to actually administrating Medicare for a region. So 3% of that cost goes to paying for the insurance company that's now running the Medicare for that region. Dr. Oz, when he came in, the first thing he proposed, and I think is going to get taken care of, is that they're going to bump it from 3% or so up to about 5%. So you're going to be paying the administrators more for the service that they're doing, when all of them are already making billions on billions every quarter for the regular businesses that they're doing. Now, what happens now is they're going to be making more money. The administration cost of Medicare is going to go up again. And my fear is that we're going to see more cost going to Medicare, and that's going to try and justify the position of the GOP and the Republicans that Medicare needs more cutbacks in order to take care of it. What we need is to do away with the cap on Social Security and how much money people pay into Social Security every year. Because I think
100%.
Yeah, right now I think it's I think it's 160,000. Once you make 160,000, you no longer pay into Social Security for that year, and it resets next year. For the life of me, I don't understand why we need a cap on that at all. But why that cap can't be raised to like 500,000. You raise it to like 400, 500,000. Medicare is good for basically eternity. We could turn around, and if you allowed for there to be a Medicare for all, or a Medicare, or do away with the mandate that you have to be, and actually I think I read, is it still 65 or is it 67 now?
67.
67 years old now. You have to be, if you were born after 1960, you have to be 67 years old in order to receive full Social Security benefits, including Medicare, unless you have end-stage renal disease or some other disability. But we need a public option, and I would gladly pay twice what I'm paying towards Medicare if I could cut out all of my health care, because Medicare is run so efficiently. And I know that because my experience with Medicare was, like I said, 14 years worth of experience. I saw from the ground floor how Medicare was run. And you guys were talking about some of the people taking advantage or committing Medicare fraud. Most of the Medicare fraud that occurs, and I saw it because I saw people get fired for it, was actually Medicare fraud being committed at the administrative level, like not at the patient level. It wasn't Medicare patients that were taking advantage of Medicare. Most of it, I want to say 95% of it, was being committed by the individuals working for the insurance companies that were handing Medicare, because they knew how to do it. They knew how to create their own durable medical equipment office and make fraudulent posts and sales or whatnot, and file claims for wheelchairs and beds and things like that they were making thousands and thousands of dollars off of. And those individuals were prosecuted. So Medicare is probably one of the greatest things that the United States has going for it, and they want to dismantle it. They want to tear it apart.
And these are things that Democrats, if they want to be on a board of people that they want to be trusted, these are things that they have to hammer home. They have to talk about it. Republicans are talking about it. They're just trying to take the money for, I don't know what, tax cuts for billionaires is what it mainly seems like. But Democrats need to talk about, we need to expand this. Let's look into a Medicare for all. Where is this money going? How is it? They need to make it very transparent and very clear to people. This is what we need to do to solve poverty. I know Republicans who are only voting Republican because they think that they're going to solve poverty. That is the number one issue, and it's solvable. It's so solvable. But some of the ideas to solve it have been labeled as progressive, which makes it, or socialist, which makes it hard to talk to people about it. But there's got to be a way to find a way to break that barrier. I mean,
don't even get me started on that progressive stuff. Good Lord. You're talking to a guy who, like, you know, it's not a lot of people. It might be 5 of them, but there are 5 folks that are dedicated to the end of my existence based on me being a progressive. I mean,
Are they Democrats?
yeah, I mean, they're my own
Yeah.
people. I mean, these folks should be shoulder to shoulder with me, and, you know, they would rather see me, you know, 6 feet under than ever thrive. So it's just, they don't see it that way, and I don't reciprocate that back upon them. I'm not wired that way.
Yeah.
And I got big. I mean, to me, I'm like trying to fight Republican rule, you know, and stuff like that. Not like my own Democrats. If they want to fight me, they can like keep nipping at my heel all they want. You know, it's like the song says, "Don't go pulling on Superman's cape." So, you know,
Yeah. No, it really doesn't seem like there's much hope in South Carolina when it comes to the Democrats. I've met a lot of them. I've talked to a lot of them. They're basically conservatives. I mean,
it's bad. I mean, I had a rough time in the last election, and what I've seen happen this year, I don't, you know, there's so much I know that I wish I could share, but I can tell you that it was frustrating for elected Democrats to watch like the failure from the Democrat Party at every level, national, state, and county. And then like they don't fight. I mean, what did the House Democrats fight for as a whole, right? What did they really fight against the DEI legislation?
No. I will say Heather Bauer's attempt to sway the Senate and the House to impeach Curtis Loftus, I think, was impeccable.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Heather's the exception to the rule, and anybody that'll get rid of Curtis Rachel Loftus the Lesser is all right with me. That's a callback, Bill. That's a callback.
Yeah.
It shows how deep in the all about nothing lore I am.
I had a slew because I didn't know what
it was.
Curtis
One of
Loftus...
the best episodes of the AAN, I think, was your treatise against Curtis Rebecca Loftus.
I don't think it got any of his attention either. Or if it did,
he responds poorly to that. Like, you saw the video of him testifying before the Senate.
Yeah,
that is a fragile man.
They kept telling him that if his lawyer wanted to speak, he needed to be sworn in, and his lawyer that he would not swear in. Like it was one of the most absurd things I've ever watched.
Shit show.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Any final thoughts, Bill?
Yeah, let's just fix poverty. It's so easy.
All right.
I could give you so many resources to how we could fix it, and it's just not going to get done here.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. Matt, any closing thoughts?
You know, let's love one another. I know it sounds kind of, people are wondering, is he serious? But yeah, I mean, let's love one another. Let's do what we can to uplift folks and amplify some voices. Dark days ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell y'all.
Yeah. No, that I appreciate that. Yeah, strap in for sure. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. That's going to do it for episode number 255. Thank you again, Matt, for joining us. I know it was short notice, but I really appreciate it. Bill, thanks for being here. Again, Zach is out until he's back. That's all I know. That's all I know.
I do have something important to leave everybody with. Watch Andor Season 2.
Okay.
Some of the best Star Wars ever put together is Andor Season 2.
Yeah, the series finale, I think, just came out, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just blew my mind. Good. I mean, incredible cinematography, acting, all of it. So.
Absolutely. I did enjoy it. I was waiting to be able to watch the whole thing in one sitting. So I look forward to that. I'll do that soon. All right. Links to all of our past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, and social media are available at our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show? Members get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content. Visit members.theallaboutnothing.com or find a link on our webpage. You can also give us a one-time donation through the same link. And also, just to remind everybody, if we get 100 new members, Bill will let me. We will randomly choose one that can come up and shave Bill's beard. That was the deal,
100.
right? 100. We got to get 100.
How many has joined since?
I can't tell you yet.
Oh, okay.
Because there haven't been. So No one has heeded the call.
Okay.
But we'll make that
Good
be
for
good.
me.
Also, I want to remind everybody that Bill Kimmler and I do every Tuesday and Thursday, 5:30 a.m. Eastern. We record an episode called The Kinda Daily Show, where we just discuss different things. Today was a lot of fun. We recorded. We talked about some of the absurd internet challenges, social media challenges that are going around right now. It was an entertaining show to do. So Bill Kimmler, of course, host of Black, White, and Blue in the South. So check that out. Subscribe to our YouTube page, and you'll get notified when we go live, and then you can watch it when you get up, because 5:30 is early for a lot of people. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can also call and leave us a message. Call 803-672-0533, or you can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com. You can join our Discord server as well. Links found on our webpage. Thanks for listening, everybody. You all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself. The All About Nothing podcast is a product of Big Media and produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow Everything Cake, the band, at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff, the producer, for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the Producer. You can follow me across social media by visiting Linktree/Barrett Gruber. And you can follow Zach King on Linktree/AAN Zach. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. To find links to our social media, podcast platforms, and merchandise to support the show, as well as past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can call our number and leave a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our sister shows. What the Pod Was That with Carrie, Zach, and myself. Welcome to Wonderland with me. Politically Speaking with Erica, Kirsten, and Emily. And Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jameel Brooks and Bill Kimmler. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and punch that notification bell. Thank you for listening, and hear us next week. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media, LLC, and is copyright 2025, all rights reserved.